Hello and welcome everybody to my long-term review of this beautiful camera, the Contax G-1. I've used this camera for over 3 years now. I've taken more than 2,000 photographs with this camera, and after watching today's video you will know if this is the right camera for you or not. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the positives and the negatives of the camera. I'll be showing you a lot of example photographs, talking about the accessories that you can see here that I own, and just giving you a general impression if this is a good camera for your case or not. So let's get right into it. So let us get started with the pros of the camera. In my opinion, one of the biggest advantages this camera has is how easy it is to use. I always like saying that it's like a point and shoot on steroids. So what do I mean by that? All you gotta do literally is just activate the camera, focus, take a picture. It has aperture priority, which means that all you have to do is set the aperture on the lens. Then you look through the viewfinder and the viewfinder shows you what shutter speed it wants to use. So basically you don't have to do anything but turn the camera on, focus, press the shutter button, take a picture. So that makes the camera super good for beginners, or also for people who feel like they don't want to do a lot of manual stuff, they don't want to do the focusing, they're not really into deciding what shutter speed they want to use. I mean, you can still do that. You can manually set the shutter speed, you can set the aperture, so you can do everything manually. But if you just want to run around, take some pictures, super easy to do. The second thing that I really like about the camera is how good it feels in your hands. It's made out of titanium, so it feels really sturdy. It has this nice grip here on the side, which makes it really nice in your hand. It has like a little grip on the back as well. So the camera feels really nice to hold in your hand. You can hold it one-handed, which is nice. You can just use it like that. So that's one of the advantages of this camera. One of the things I really like about the camera is the way it feels in your hand. The next thing, and I think this is one of the most important things about this camera, is the array of lenses it comes with. This camera comes with some beautiful Carl Zeiss lenses. My favorite lens for this is the 21 2.8 that has this beautiful small external viewfinder that is a joy to use, an absolute joy to use. All of the lenses that I own on my camera right here, I have the 28 2.8. All of these lenses are really good. These lenses are sharp, they are plenty fast, and they focus down to 0.5 meters. This 28 that I have on here, I bought for 150 bucks because it has haze in the rear element and it has scratches in the front element. If I'm shooting it wide open at 2.8, you can see some of these effects. When you stop it down to 5.6, this lens becomes incredibly sharp and all of the haze is gone, all of the scratches are gone. You don't notice any of that. So these lenses are some of the sharpest lenses I have personally used, and I really like the look of the 45 f2. 45 is not really my typical focal length, but I've used it plenty of times now, and I really like the images that all of these lenses create. Basically with this camera and these lenses, you know that the images you're gonna get are gonna be crisp and sharp. So sharpness is not gonna be something that you will have to worry about. Let's talk about a couple of more pros of this camera. One thing that I really like about it is how easy it is to use a flash. I have this TLA 140 flash. The flashes are unfortunately pretty expensive, at least the Contax G flashes, but there are plenty of other options out there. All you do is basically I turn the camera around, put this on TTL, this light bulb just shows, and then all I gotta do is just take a picture, boom, and that's it. So you basically, all you do is put the aperture and you're good to go. So it's very, very easy if you're into flash photography, very easy to use a flash with this camera system. Also, something I really like about the camera is the fact that you are able to set all of the functions manually. My first pro that I was talking about was the fact that it's very easy to use and you don't really have to set a lot of settings manually. But now what I like about it as well is, in case you feel like doing that, you have the options to set the shutter speed, you can set your ISO, you can set your aperture, you can even set your distance, so the focusing distance. Sometimes the autofocus can be a little bad. That is something that I'm going to be discussing a little later in the video when I'm talking about the cons. But in my opinion, what I really like about it is if you feel like it, you can set everything manually on this camera. So that is also a pro. One other thing that I really like about this camera is the fact that it has different viewfinders depending on what lens you attach to it. So if you're coming from the background of using a Leica or any other rangefinder camera, most of them have one fixed viewfinder and they just display different frame lines. This camera does it differently. It has glass that it puts in front of the viewfinder to change the magnification. So if you have the 28 on here, actually you're looking through the viewfinder and you're seeing everything that the 28 is gonna give you. If you put the 45 on, the viewfinder changes and you're gonna see everything that the 45 is gonna give you. If you put the 90mm on, same thing happens. The only lenses where it doesn't happen is the 21 and the 16mm, because they are so wide that they use external viewfinders. But that is something that I really like, especially as somebody who wears glasses. If I'm using my Leica and I'm shooting 28, I really always gotta look into the corners to see the viewfinder or to see the frame lines inside of the viewfinder. So with this camera, you can easily use the 28 as a person who wears glasses. Also, something that I love about the Contax G-1 is how good it performs on a tripod. For me, this is my go-to camera when I want to do night photography, or generally speaking, when I want to do photography that requires slow shutter speeds. The shutter speeds go down to 30 seconds. So no matter what the lighting situation is, basically, I can always rely on this camera. I'm usually just using the self-timer, so I put it on a tripod, use the self-timer, press the shutter button, let the camera sit there, and it does its magic. So I've used it plenty of times indoors, and the results speak for themselves. One more positive aspect that I almost forgot to mention is how reliable this camera is. Over the 3 years that I've used it, I've had no issues with the camera whatsoever. No double exposures, no problems with frames overlapping, no problems with the autofocus except it being slow, but the focus is on point 99.9% of the time if you are doing it correctly. One last thing that I really like about this camera is the fact that it has a little LCD screen inside of the viewfinder that indicates what you're focusing on, or rather what the distance of your subject that you're focusing on is. Which means that when you're looking through the finder and you're focusing on something up close and you're looking there, you're pre-focusing, it's gonna tell you how far that is away. And that's how you can kind of double check that the autofocus is on point. A lot of other autofocus cameras are just kind of telling you that they have successfully achieved focus, but you don't know what they are focusing on. With this camera, you can always kind of double check if what's inside of the viewfinder make sense in terms of the distance that your subject is being away. So after having talked about all of the positive aspects of this camera, the amazing lenses, how easy it is to use, how good it is on a tripod, how you can use it for flash photography, and how it's basically a point and shoot camera on steroids that's really good for beginners, let's talk a little bit about the negative aspects of this camera, because there are plenty of them. So the first negative aspect is that this camera requires batteries. Obviously, it has an autofocus, it has a winding mechanism, so like a motor is built inside that winds the film for you. You don't have to do any winding. It has auto exposure, so it's a fully electronical camera, which means that once the batteries are dead, you can't take any pictures. What I like to do is when I'm out and about and I know that I really have to perform with this camera, I'm doing a photo shooting or something like that, I always carry a second pair of batteries with me, just in case. The batteries do hold for a pretty long time, so it's not like they are empty after, I don't know, 5 hours or so. Usually for me they last a couple of months, but just be aware that this is not a mechanical camera, it's an electronic camera. Pretty obvious, but I just wanted to state that. The next negative aspect about this camera, and that's something that I'm oftentimes struggling with and that I don't like about this camera, is the fact that the autofocus can be pretty slow, and sometimes it's even almost impossible to focus with this camera. I don't know if it's just my camera or my lenses, because the autofocus happens in the lenses, but sometimes I'm focusing on something and I like to, let's say there's a person in the middle, I'm focusing on the person and I want to readjust the composition. So I want to keep the focus on the person's face and then readjust, but then the camera loses the focus as soon as I'm moving away. So when I'm doing a photo shooting and I have to tell the model, hey, please stand still for a second, I'm looking through it, I'm about to take the picture, moving away to readjust the composition, and boom, focus is gone. Have to do the same thing again. And sometimes I have to try like 3, 4, 5 times in order to be able to properly focus. I've heard that the Contax G-1 has faster and better autofocus, so maybe that's worth a consideration. I've never used the G-1, so I can't really speak for it myself. But most of the time I have to say I'm photographing things, not people. And if I'm photographing people, it's not like I'm doing street photography with this camera, I'm doing more portraiture. So then I can tell the person to just stand still and kind of explain that the autofocus is kind of on and off, so they understand that and it's not a big deal. But if you want to do street photography, or you want to photograph people running around, or you're into sport photography or anything where your subjects are very fast moving, this might not be the best camera for you. So if you're into street photography and there's a scene developing in front of you, somebody's like about to pop a balloon and you want to take the shot, it's very difficult to get the decisive moment, so to say, with this camera, because there's always a little lag between the autofocus and the actual taking of the picture. The next thing that is really not my favorite about this camera is the fact that the viewfinder is very small. I just wanted to mention that because honestly, I've kind of gotten used to it and it's okay. It's not the worst. It's a little bit bigger than the Olympus Mio 2. If you have one of these, that's a decent comparison. But compared to a Leica or Canon P or any other rangefinder cameras, this is a pretty small viewfinder. For me, not the biggest deal, but just wanted to mention that. The next thing that I really need to mention about this camera is that it's very difficult to get this camera serviced and repaired. I've had 2 Contax G1s. This is my second one. The first one that I had, it had some issues with the film transport mechanism. So I had overlapping frames, and sometimes it was respooling the film after like 10 or 15 shots. and then I tried to get it repaired at a repair shop that specializes in Contax cameras, but they said they have no more spare parts, and I pretty much had to sell the camera as defect. So just know that when you have a copy that works well, hold on to it, try to baby it and see how long it's gonna work for you. This one, as I said, I've had it for almost 3 years. I've used it a lot and it has not had any issues so far. One last negative aspect about the camera is the position of the strap lugs. So let me just do this real quick. As you can already see, the camera is tilting a little bit backwards. Usually I would like my camera to sit like this, but it's like this. So when you're wearing the camera, and the camera is always kind of like this, so it's like bouncing, and especially if you have like the external viewfinder on top. I really like this camera for nature photography. I do a lot of hiking, so then I'm always walking around like this, and the viewfinder is kind of like poking into my sternum, which is not the nicest feeling. I might just have to get different strap lugs that fix the problem, but that was something that I really wanted to mention. As you can see, the camera is always tilting like this, which can be a little bit annoying. If you have strap lugs for the camera that you use that kind of straighten the camera, definitely let me know in the comments below. So let's come to my resume of the Contax G-1. After having used it for over 3 years and having taken more than 2,000 pictures with this camera, would I recommend you buying it? I would say it depends. Personally, I think the camera is a great deal. It is not too expensive. Obviously, it's not a cheap camera. The lenses are also not cheap, but if you compare it to something like a Leica M7, Leica M6, I mean the M7 is a better comparison because it also has aperture priority. This is way cheaper. I think you can get a body for probably like between 300 to 400, maybe 500 bucks, depending on your region and how long you're willing to wait to make a good deal. The lenses are between probably 200 for the 90 up to 500 for the 45, I guess. It's the most expensive lens, except the super wide angle, but that's a kind of special lens. If you're willing to spend like $1,000, you should be able to get a body and maybe 2, even 3 lenses. So in terms of the value, I think it's a really good value. For me, I would recommend this camera if you're not doing photography that requires you to be fast with your photography. If you do a lot of nature or landscape photography, if you do still lifes, if you do architecture, if you do abstract photography, if you're just running around photographing things around you, you're at parties, just like snapping along, this is hands down a super good camera. I love this camera exactly for these kind of cases. If you're really into street photography and you want to be able to always capture the decisive moment, I would not recommend this camera. But generally speaking, this camera is really great. It has served me well. I love this thing. I love using this thing. Every time I get my scans back from the lab, I'm just amazed how good these lenses are. So yeah, I would definitely recommend buying this camera, picking this camera up, unless, as I said multiple times already, I know I'm repeating myself, but if you need that fast autofocus, or if you need that, if you need to be fast with your photography, this might not be the best camera for you. So that's it from my side. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you gained a lot of information and are now able to make a well-informed choice if this is the right camera for you or not. I personally love this camera. I will continue using it for as long as possible because this camera produces some beautiful images, and it's a lot of fun to run around with this camera. Just have it on aperture priority, do the autofocusing, super easy to use. It's just a fun camera to have. The lenses are amazing, the flash is super good and easy to use, so this is one of my favorite cameras. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I have plenty of other videos that are not just about gear, but also about my own photography. So if you're interested, go to my channel, check out my other videos. Otherwise, I have my Instagram linked down in the description below. I also have my website there. I have an amazing website where I'm showcasing all of my work. If you enjoyed this video and it was helpful to you, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps me out. Like this video and share it with your friends who are interested in picking one of these up. And I really appreciate each and every one spending your time with me, looking at my videos, and I hope this was helpful for you. Take care, everybody. Go out, be nice to people, shoot some film, take some images, be creative, be inspired, inspire others, and just do good things. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.